Hi everyone, me again. I wanted to talk about connection and friendships and loneliness and self-independence. Reason being, this is kind of a sidetrack, but it is important. I currently have had people living with me, like in my bedroom, for probably the best part of a month now. One of my friends from home came to stay with me for about 2.5 weeks. And then another one of my friends was staying with me before she was moving into her new place. And basically, I have not been on my own for about a month. And tonight is the first day where I'm on my own. I was lying here and I was like twiddling my thumbs, like, what do I do with myself? And I'm a very independent person. I didn't really have many friends growing up. I didn't actually have any friends growing up, really. And my mum is also very, very independent as well. So I was raised seeing independence and being independent. So it's something that is not unusual to me. I have a lot of friends who have quite codependent tendencies or have grown up in very busy families or with a lot of community, I guess. And I think that was something I always didn't quite have growing up. And this isn't a sob story. It's fine, trust me. But as I've gotten older, I think I've leaned on connection to maybe compensate for the times that I didn't want to admit to myself when I was younger that I felt lonely. And I actually think I might have a podcast about loneliness. I think it's called like COVID loneliness, or I don't know, but I think I might. So it's clearly something that I think about quite a lot. But yeah, I've just been sat here thinking, and when I think about things, I think about them a lot. And I don't just think about things maybe on a base level. I really ruminate on things. And I was thinking, what if I knew no one, or had no one, or was around no one? And I wasn't just thinking about this in the sense of like, what if I had no friends and family? I was thinking about this as in the sense of, what if I was the last person left on the earth? And I was thinking, what would I do? And you're probably thinking, why were you thinking that? And I don't know. I can't tell you. But it got me thinking about Vampire Diaries. I know this is, just bear with me. And I don't know if you've seen, I think it's like season 6 or something, where Bonnie gets stuck in the hell realm, I think, or I don't know. She gets stuck in this realm and she's all on her own, and she's completely on her own. Apart from this weird other guy who's there, but he's like kind of irrelevant. And I just think that feeling of loneliness, like, what would you do? And I was trying to think. I've said think so many times. I'm so sorry. I was thinking, what would I do if every day I woke up and I was completely on my own forever until the day I died? And then I stopped thinking about it because it freaked me the fuck out. And then I was thinking, sorry, I know I keep saying thinking, but I feel like the thinking is the crucial crux of this episode. And I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't just like doom scroll because thinking about that makes me anxious. Maybe I should actually talk about it, because I actually really enjoy my own time and I really enjoy my own company, and I view myself as my own friend. I don't know if that's strange to say, but I think a big part of my own self-development, I actually read this book a few years back. It's really good. You should the audiobook is on Spotify. It's called Ego is the Enemy. And I went into it a bit like, I don't know, because I'm big into the ego. And I think that there's a lot of misconceptions around the ego, or misinformation around the ego. And then I thought, don't say the ego is the enemy or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then when I listened to the book, I realised I had it all wrong. And the crux of the book is basically to view your ego as a housemate. Someone that's there, really there with you all the time. And they just share their opinion on absolutely everything. And they just talk to you and talk to you and talk to you and talk to you. And I very much believe your ego can be trained. I've done a lot of work on training my ego. I used to have a terrible one. It was terribly overactive and quite rude. And this is what I mean when I say I see myself as my friend, because I think I've kind of learned to compartmentalize in my head my ego as like a roommate, right? This book really helps break that down if you listen to it. And this is the thing that I was thinking about was, I think I'd be okay, because my friend, my ego in my head, I like them. I like that person. I don't know if I would say person. Thing, voice, I don't know. And I find them insightful, and I find them helpful and constructive. And I enjoy being around my ego now. Now being the key word, because that was not a common occurrence in my teenage years. But I find it comforting. And one of my friends just got back from Fiji not long ago, and her phone broke while she was there. And she was saying when she got back, it was so nice to just be alone with her thoughts, because all she was thinking about was just happy things and nice things. And I was like, that is amazing. Like, that is so good to know that if you get put in a position where you don't have something, a distraction, because that's what a phone is for a lot of us, if you don't have that distraction, what you're left with is innately positive. And when I was having this weird thought process about being the only person left in the world, I was kind of going through, how I would spend my days and what I would do with my time. And I'm trying to think of anything to say other than, and I was thinking, but I thought about it, and I thought, I think it'd be fine. Like, it would be fine, because that voice in my head is comfortable for me and familiar and comforting, I guess, is a big one, and has my best interests at heart. And a big thing that I learned when learning about the ego and things like that is your ego is there to protect you, make you feel safe. I've said all this 100 times before. I know, I'm sorry. But I feel there is a taboo around gratifying your ego. Instant gratification is a bad thing, and don't give in to your urges, and delayed gratification is the new big goal, delay things and push them back. And I'm a big believer in delayed gratification. I think it's very constructive for growth, and I think it's a great way to improve your mental toughness. But the ego, in terms of instant gratification, has a place. And I think especially in the era that we're in right now, especially digitally, we place so much of our focus on stimulus, right? What's going in. Whether that's scrolling on a phone, a conversation with a friend, a billboard you see, walking around and looking at things, like, you know, you take a lot of stimulus in. And how much of that do we really process? Like, how much of that do we really sit with and actually let register within ourselves? And I don't think it's a lot. When I did, so I've got a degree in marketing and public relations. That bit's relevant. I'm just trying to flex on you for a minute, but that was horrendous. I'm sorry. I did this module on, I think it was it wasn't graphic design. It was like digital media or physical media or just media that is created. And one of the lectures, I guess, was about how much media we consume throughout the day. And there are a lot of studies done on how effective that media is at registering in our heads and which type of media is more effective than others and which type of marketing can be used to increase product sales, blah, 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 whatever. And this is why there's the whole discourse around why influencers get paid so much, because paying someone £20,000 to advertise something on a billboard is a pretty typical rate, right? That is pretty standard. Marketing is expensive. Very, very, very expensive. I've just started working a marketing job. I finally got my big girl degree job. And a typical marketing campaign is in the thousands and up. You know, it's expensive. So why would a company spend 20 grand on a billboard that, respectfully, no one's going to look at? I've never once looked at a billboard and been like, yeah, I'm going to go and buy that thing or do that thing, or unless it's something that I already partake in and it just jogs my memory. It's much more likely nowadays, I don't know what this has to do with me being lonely, I really don't, but I'm sure I'll get there one day. Today, within the next 20 minutes, I'm sure. Now, in the modern age that we're in, a marketer would much rather pay a person with an influence the same money to market the same product. Because I actually was having this conversation with my co-worker the other day about how word of mouth, so a big part of what my company does is produce print media, like print marketing. And we were talking about how, you know, the marketing scope has changed so much over the last 20, 30 years, and about how the effectiveness of certain types of media has changed. Because word of mouth was always the one marketing type that couldn't be profited off of. And not only that, it's also the most effective. You're so much more likely to take a recommendation from a friend or a co-worker or family member on a product or a service, specifically a service actually, when it's recommended by someone that you trust. And influencer marketing was I think, revolutionized word of mouth marketing, because if you look back into the start of Instagram and the YouTube boom in like the early 2010s, things like that, oh boy, I was so easily marketed to. You know, the beauty influencers that I used to watch, they could tell me anything and I'd just eat it up. And then there was obviously that shift between, you know, they had to post that it was an ad and things like that. And then it was like, is this genuine? Whatever. That's a whole different discussion. But it's that thing of like, for a company, it makes so much more sense for them to tell a person to tell you something, because you're more likely to listen to it. Especially if you like that person and you enjoy watching that person's content and whatever. You're much more likely to retain that information that is being put to you, that stimulus, than you are from a billboard or a flyer or an ad that pops up on your phone. And I think that's obviously due to a combination of a few things, but I do think, and maybe this is where I'm kind of going to segue back into that loneliness point, is one thing that I would say video marketing, and obviously influencer marketing typically comes with video marketing. One thing that those sort of more verbal and audio marketing things do well is adhere to more of your senses at once. So if you think about it, we have we don't have 5 senses, we have a lot more than that, but if we're talking about the basic 5 senses, when you are having a conversation with someone about something or watching them on a screen talk about something, whatever it is, that's not just visual, it's also audible, I think is the right word. And so it's tapping into 2 of your senses at the same time. And that is kind of doubling the amount of stimulus that is going in your body at one time. And I think, again, this is kind of where it's a bit of a grey area, because I think marketers have learned that the easiest way to get you to adhere to something is to just flood you with it, like completely flood you with it. And that's where like blow up culture and viral culture, things like that, is like, if we just pump this into every single sense that this person has, we give it to them visually, we give it to them audibly, I think is the right word. I'm sorry, I don't know. You know, they go into a shop and it's there and they can touch it, and that's another sense. Or they can taste it, that's another sense. They can smell, you know, it's just put in front of you all the time. And that is one of the things that I think for me, and I'm speaking for me here, I don't know, I think my perception on my senses is maybe slightly heightened than the average person. I have weird sensory things going on, so I don't know if this may not be the average experience. So take this, if this doesn't resonate with you, I don't know. My sensory input is different, I think, to some people. But if we think about, you know, what I was saying before about loneliness and things like that, I think, oh my God, there's a man watching me and I am naked. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry for that. Okay. I'm really sorry. This is not the distraction that I wanted, but there is a man watching me and I am naked in my bedroom. Okay, I'm going to go and stand in my bathroom. So I'm so sorry about this. This is really unprofessional of me. But yeah, so I think that because we are so desensitized to how much input we receive, the thought of being alone or being in my brain sense, the last person left on the earth, is so frightening for me, because I then have to deal with the fact that I won't have all that stimulus. Because I've been around people for a month, and like, bear in mind, this is coming from someone who is not really used to being around people. I like my own space, I like my own time, I like get fed up of people very quickly, things like that. And I've been around people for about a month, and I'm already feeling withdrawals. So I can only imagine what that's like for someone who is codependent or relies on connection or, you know, things like that. And I'm also very digitally active. I'm always on my phone. I'm always talking to someone. I'm always pumping my senses full of stimulus. Like my dopamine, I'm looking for dopamine wherever I can get it. And I know it's not a good thing, but I'm just being honest. And the literal withdrawals that my brain is experiencing and has been experiencing over the last 2 hours has actually been kind of concerning, because it's got me thinking everything that I've discussed right now. And it's it's kind of made me think, this can't be right. Like, it can't be right that my brain has adjusted so quickly to having so much going on around me that after, not even a month, it's probably been about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, I feel so unsettled. But everything is the exact way it was before. Like, I've not been thrust into, like, literally nothing. It's the exact same as it was a month ago when I was completely fine. And, there's also another point to touch on here. I've just started a new job, obviously, like, in sales marketing. And I've never really worked corporate before, so that's new for me. And I was speaking to Kate, my friend, she works in recruitment, and I was saying, like, I'm so confused because I feel it's not even bored. It's just like, where's the stimulation? Because I'm used to hospitality, and for anyone that's worked in hospitality, it's like, it is go, 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 go. You don't even have a minute to think. And I had a really bad day yesterday. There was some things going on with the house, and there was, it's just emotional upset. I was feeling stressed. And I used to love going to work when I felt stressed because I didn't have time to think about being stressed. Whereas yesterday, I had all the time in the world to think about being stressed. And I started thinking, there's something wrong with my job, or there's this, or there's that, or whatever. And I realised, like, there's nothing wrong with the job. There's nothing wrong with the job at all. It's just the job that I'm doing now gives me time to think about something other than making 35 coffees in 12 minutes. And sitting in that silence in your head when you're already in a position of feeling uncomfortable or, off about something is really weird. I think because, like, my whole working career, basically, I've worked in hospitality, retail, like, very customer-facing roles where you kind of just have to, you can't let anything slip. Like, you have to be on all the time. Now being in a job where I don't have to be on at all, really. Like, the only time I have to be on is when I'm on the phones. And even then, like, my face can be doing whatever it wants. Like, I don't have to do the customer service thing anymore. It feels weird. Like, it's so weird and it's so strange and it's such a change of pace. And it makes me feel lost. Like, it makes me feel like, and obviously I know that's just a learning curve and that nothing's going wrong and it's not a bad situation. It's just new to me and my body isn't used to that. And it's got me thinking about how we adjust as people and how quickly changing environments and a change in our situation becomes comfortable, and that even though you've been doing something for years and years and years, you start doing something else and that becomes the new norm. And I think that's kind of a testament to as humans, our resilience. And I think that's something that we are innately very good at as humans, is being resilient and kind of going with the changing scope of the earth, whether we're in the ice age or whether we're in the digital age or whether we're in the plague, whatever it is, we are very resilient. I mean, not all of us, but I guess that's natural selection. And I made a podcast, it's actually the last one I put out, about how, I'm going to use this metaphor again because I feel like it was actually really good and it was really relevant, about how I had this meditation where I basically got, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I had this like vision of a water droplet, and it was like this, you are this water droplet, and then it was like the conditions around the water droplet changed its state. So it, it was water or it was ice or it was steam, or it was an icicle or a snowflake, or I don't know, like the different states that water can be. And it was like, it's not about the object itself, it's about the conditions that the object is placed in. And I think it's a very good metaphor for humans as water droplets, I guess, because it's like we just adjust to the situation. Whatever the situation is, you just adjust to it naturally. And I can tell my brain's going to turn off in a minute, and I'm really hoping I can somehow come to some kind of realization in my own brain. Just thinking about this thing of being the only person left in the world. I don't know why this is so in my head, but it really is. It's so stuck in my cranium. It's like being the only person left in the world. How would you adjust? Because in my head, this like weird vision I had, there were still like cows and pigs and sheep and, so you just make friends with them, right? And then it got me thinking, back when I lived at home, I live in the countryside pretty much. And every evening after work, I would go for a walk, and there was 2 horses, and there was one, and I loved this horse, and I called it Jessica, and it was my favourite horse in the world. And I'm telling you, I was friends with this horse. And there's also a bird that comes and sits on my balcony, and I'm telling you, it's the same bird every single day. And I'm friends with that bird. And there was pigeons outside the house. No, outside my old work, there was these pigeons, and I knew them all by name because they had like distinguished. And I thought, if I was the only person left in the world, I would just make friends with all the animals. And I think maybe that is the crux of humanity, is we are put here to connect. Because if I can't connect with people, I'll connect with animals. And if I can't connect with animals, I'll connect with myself. And if I can't connect with myself externally, I'll connect with matter and then create things from that matter. And from that, you have a community. That's made me feel so much better. I know you're probably listening to this like, you're chatting shit. Like, and I am chatting shit, but like, I almost feel like I'm going to cry. Like, I feel like, like how comforting to know now. Now I know this. If I wake up tomorrow morning and I'm the only person left in the world, I can create my own community. Like, I can just Minecraft my way through it. I feel like I've really achieved something right now. Like, I really feel a sense of achievement. It's also the new moon, so that's a really great feeling. This might be the weirdest episode I've ever made. Sorry to whoever had to listen to that. Really appreciate you guys. Love you. Goodbye.